Okay. Okay, recording in progress.
Beautiful. Rabbi Sergio, hello. It is so nice to connect with you on Zoom. And hopefully we'll get to connect in person in November when you come to the UPJ conference in Sydney. What do you know about it? What will happen at the conference?
Dean, it's a pleasure to be in contact, and it's so really glad to met in a virtual connection when we know that few months later we have the opportunity to be in person with this wonderful region of our World Union extended family. I am so excited because the crazy thing that we were stuck so long in quarantines and now the need to be in person and to contact each other is really exciting for me. Coming back in the same year twice to Australia.
Ah, beautiful.
Yes, I visit Australia from the Israeli appeal, and I suppose that I am not only the only crazy one, but I am an Argentinian so excited to build this South-South connection, to be again with all of you. And interesting to know what in Auckland is happening, because there, Sydney and Melbourne are talking all the time about themselves. Now we need to expand and to talk about all the region.
I could not agree with you more. Our synagogue, Beth Shalom of Auckland, is a lovely community and a dynamic community that really does a lot and creates a lot of our own Kiwi Judaism. It's something I really admire and respect. And our region is just extraordinary. Australia, New Zealand, Asia, we have so many languages and countries and so many kilometers between our communities that the opportunity to gather in person is really special, because otherwise we can even forget about Hong Kong, Singapore, sometimes even Australia seems so far away. And yet we are all not just one people, but we are all teammates, really one community supporting each other.
Yeah, that's correct. That Asia and New Zealand and Australia building a region and having this biennial conference show to us what Judaism means for us. Diversity, different languages and different geographies, but one people, one family. And we really believe that this is the strength of our Jewish identity. Diverse, but in unity. And this is really great for us.
Amen to that. So I am curious, you just mentioned a core of Judaism, but I'm wondering what you find most beautiful about Judaism.
For me, it's some of the ways that Judaism show up to the universal audience is that really we are not only a religion. We have our religious practices, institution, and roots. But the great thing that we offer to humankind, the values of an humanism, of ethics, and how really we want to keep our identity, but to be together in an integration that is not assimilation. And Judaism was always, always open mind to make contributions to fix the world, to become more human beings that we are, and to do the good things, not only for our people, for the other. And this is exactly my really link to Judaism, a cosmovision that can add value to humankind, like a whole family.
Adding value to humankind, how very beautiful.
Yeah.
And what do you think should be on the mind, in the heart of today's conscientious Jew? What are the issues that we are grappling with?
I really believe that there are some of our traditions that we, like progressive Jews, we need to come back to the roots, what we need to reform from the reform. And really how we can really keep going with this really traditional way, but because always the Judaism was in an evolution, was in an open conversation between our sacred text and the context that is not really to be modern because we are changing, is to be Jewish because we are changing.
Mm.
And we are looking for this challenge, how we can be relevant and meaningful to the next generation, how we can really engage our kids in something that is meaningful, not from our fathers and mothers, that is the continuity of our fathers and mothers in our generation, to offer innovation, creativity, and freedom to be proud to be Jewish and to be really in an ongoing process of evolution.
Absolutely. We are in a time that is called whole systems transformation, a fundamental upheaval within human society. And that requires us as Jews and as world citizens and as people to evolve and rethink and find a new path forward. People will often talk to me about Jewish tradition, but for me, more important than the word tradition is the word wisdom. What's
That's great.
the Jewish wisdom I can bring forward rather than the structures that manifest the wisdom? Maybe the structures need to shift as our culture and society shifts, but the wisdom is inherent human wisdom, is profound and ancient. And that is what I think we need to bring forward, because as human beings, we need it in this new time.
Yeah, and how do you feel with the new war that we are facing? Because for me, COVID was not the crisis, was a window of opportunity to take a look about changes that they are there before, that now it's impossible to say, no, nothing is happening. No, everything, we can keep going business as usual. We are moving to a new normality. But for example, how we can be progressive Jews in a world that not really progress. We are now in the middle of a war. We are now in the middle of a challenge of the political system, the value system. How you feel with that? We, like progressive Jews, facing these huge challenges.
So I grew up as a Reconstructionist Jew. And therefore, I've really never loved the phrase "a light to the nations" or "legoyim." But recently, it's taken on value to me as a light to humanity. To say, how do we as progressive Jews allow ourselves to evolve and frankly, to experiment, give ourselves permission and time and money to experiment. One thing that I will share, prior to COVID, we were doing very little online. And so if someone couldn't come to synagogue for whatever reason, they were homesick, they couldn't drive at night, then sorry, we don't offer anything for you. Now, even as our synagogue opens back up, it's unthinkable to us that we would shut down this machine and that we would say, sorry, you're home alone. No, we have another way to open the synagogue doors, and it's a digital door, and we're going to do it and always do it, so that folks that can't come in person are absolutely part of us and feel us and learn from us, and we from them. It's something of a loss because we'd rather they be in person. I imagine they would too. We're acknowledging the reality that some people couldn't come anyway. So we're trying to use that. So this is an example of the way we are pivoting through COVID. I also think that it is incumbent on synagogues to start actively thinking of the future. I think of the synagogue now as what I call a Beit Atid, a house for the future. What will our reality be, not just next week, but literally 100 years from now? Our environmental reality, our political reality, our social reality, and how do we start to weave that future thinking into what we do now? Before COVID, I think many of us, especially the establishment, were able to say, well, it's okay, and it's going to be okay. We'll ride it out. But I think COVID was a shot across the bow of the 21st century to say, no, it's going to change. And we can either be crushed by the wheel of change, we can ride the wheel of change or even steer it. And that's what I hope we do. As progressive Jews, to me, that's our mandate and our obligation.
Yeah, agree 100% how we really can use technology, but not to lose the intimacy
That's
and
right.
the proximity to build the sense of a community. And this is also in this case that we both of us that we never met in person, we have this wonderful time to interchange and to share ideas and visions. And this is the beginning of a new time. And for sure is for good for our Jewish people and also for our leadership to be connected and to be together.
Absolutely. In rabbinical school, I took a class from the Jewish composer Michael Isaacson, and he used the phrase high tech, high touch, that it absolutely needs to be both. If it's just the screen and it's cold, well, we've done some of the job, but we failed at the rest of the job. If we're going to use the screen, then we also need to connect as human beings, not just through the screen, but in person, hand to hand and heart to heart.
This is really great. And I remember that the name of our international conference is Connections. And you know, I never mind how important is this name, Connections. And I'm so really glad and happy to be part of the world of connections, and that we can really feel that isolated communities that they are so far away are part of our extended family, and we can be really close in a meaningful way.
That's right. So the UPJ conference in Sydney in November, let's be honest, if you live in New Zealand, it's a schlep. It's not a huge schlep, but it's a schlep. So what can people expect there? What kind of connections? Will you be teaching?
I really don't know exactly what the program will be, but for me, it was so excited to visit for first time Australia. I was in two countries that, you know, one country is Sydney, another country is Melbourne. And I realized if the two countries of Jewish communities are in the same continent, also we can expand to all this area and to be really more open-minded and welcoming, to take a time and to take really to pay attention about the needs, because I really believe that the leadership is local, it's on the ground, it's in the place that we are doing our day-by-day job. And when we have the opportunity to schlep to a biennial and to be there all together, is to raise the bar and to say how we can share common ground, how we can share common vision, and how we can match and how we can really take best practices each other. But the commitment is not to run our communities in a conference, is to learn and to teach in a conference and to come back with more energy and more really spirit to lead our people on the ground.
And that has been my experience at every conference and convention I've attended, whether UPJ or URJ or CCAR. I come back with more energy, more enthusiasm, more ideas, and I bring them to my local community.
I suppose that exactly this is the idea. And like in any conference, you know, the program is the interest of everyone to take a look. Yes, but it's not relevant. The more important thing that the people is really chatting, and this is meeting each other, and all the non-formal approach.
That's right.
Make really the added value to all of us. And then we need to invite the people if they can schlep around and to go to the Sydney conference. They are really invited, and we really want to come and to learn. My really goal is not teaching. I really want to learn from the day-by-day activities of all of our communities in this really amazing extent area, Asia and New Zealand and Australia. And for us, like World Union, we are really committed to be together and to support our people on the ground, because, you know, we are not an umbrella, we are not on the top. you can really make any change in any conference and in any office. The only place is people with people building community and sharing Jewish meanings.
Beautiful. We are all mishpucha, but some of us haven't met each other yet. And so the purpose of the conference is to meet one another. So I am inviting the members of Beth Shalom and the progressive Jewish community of New Zealand to come to Sydney in November to meet Rabbi Sergio. And also, Rabbi Sergio, you have now been to Western New Zealand, Sydney and Melbourne. Perhaps at some point we can invite you to New Zealand itself. We'd love to have you either on the way there, on the way back, or some future trip.
Will be a privilege. I know the beauty of the nature and the amazing people that you are, together with the excellent wines that you have to share and to make our lechaim to the Jewish people and to the Jewish life.
Beautiful. Well, what better way to conclude than with that? Let's join together and
That's perfect.
L'chaim.
L'chaim. Really, thank you. I was really happy to meet you. And also, this is really so informal and so really authentic. I like it very much.
Good.
This is what we need to do. Yeah. No, I really expect that we can meet, but really, I gave my commitment to arrive